Last time on The Shaken Fist.
Hey, I have a list of things that I think atheists should stop saying. Now, I'm pretty confident that I'm right about these 6 items, obviously. So these are things that I'm saying I think atheists should stop saying. Number 1, you're just in it for the money. Number 2, I used to be a Christian. Moreover, I've never ever been an atheist, and I'm completely aware this is going to sound smug, even though I don't mean it that way. But the reality is, I think I understand the arguments for and defenses of atheist positions better than most atheists I know.
12 seconds later.
And I'm probably older than you are, so ease up there, Ace. Everyone's tempted to think they're an expert. Number 3, Christianity is false because of the Old Testament. Number 4, referring to God as she.
And if you think that was a rootin' tootin' good time, you should go check out the first part, partner. Pew 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 pew.
5, there's no evidence for Christianity.
There's no evidence for Christianity.
There's no good evidence for Christianity.
I mean,
These dickheads will say the Shroud of Turin is the proof of Jesus. This item that has appeared sporadically throughout history, disappearing and reappearing, is definitely the same thing as the one before.
there's also the burial tomb of Jesus, they say, is proof, but they don't have it.
Yeah, because...
But it is proof.
yeah.
And they say that Jesus resurrecting is proof. But it's a claim.
Yeah, but they have the Bible, and that's proof.
So
That's evidence. The Bible's evidence. It's like, yeah, it's evidence. It's not good evidence.
but
Really bad evidence. Because it's not evidence, it's a claim.
the way you phrase that question, though, is there's no evidence for Christianity.
Yeah, basically.
There's no evidence for Christianity. Well, we know the religion exists. So
This
I
is-
think he's
Yeah, but
phrased
he's not
that
about
wrong.
the veracity of it.
Mm.
Also, let's let him say it.
Yeah.
Rip him apart.
One that you guys need to stop using because it actually tells me 2 things about the person who says this. Number 1, it tells me that you define evidence differently. And number 2,
No shit, Sherlock. No fucking shit.
Yeah, see, we equate evidence to evidence, and you equate claims to evidence, and we go, no, and you go, I know your argument better than you, sir.
everyone's tempted to think they're an expert.
You go, look at all this evidence we have, and you go, but book.
Yeah, and it's old, and old things should be believed.
But I have a book.
Yeah,
So do I. I have many books.
he's older than you.
I have a veritable poor man's library upstairs. 3 books, 3 bookcases full of books that have all sorts of different facts in them. Like it doesn't mean anything.
No, I mean, you read a fantasy novel, it's like an entire conjuration of someone's mind, right? But there'll be facts in there that they've added into their world that are in this world.
Yeah.
There's facts in the Bible occasionally.
Let's let him.
2, you probably do that because your epistemology disallows for the kind of evidence that would demonstrate a God exists.
But I thought he was outside space and time. I thought he was immaterial. If he's outside space and time and he's immaterial, there's no proof of him that can't be, because he's outside space and time and is immaterial.
Mm-hmm.
And those are all things that are definitely bound by the universe we live in. So if you can't prove those, then if I wanted to make up a big monster outside space and time, everyone can do that. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you guys' evidence is, if I just ask you a bunch of questions, I'll eventually make you believe what I want. If I assert a few things enough, then that is obviously true, because it's obviously true. Look, I've asserted it loads and loads of times. That's why I don't mind fucking sitting here for the next 20 years debunking the same 5 arguments over and over and over again, right? Because I've come on here to be an anti-theist, right? And just show how stupid you people are. If you don't want to make up new arguments, then I'll debunk the 6 arguments you have. And I'll do it over and over again. And I'll do it with a big smile on my face. And I'll never stop. Because you never come up with anything new. And the funny thing is about things that actually prove things to be true, like the scientific method, is we keep on bringing things into existence. And we keep on making things happen. Because we try to disprove ourselves. We have other people try to disprove our findings. And eventually we come to a consensus of thought and a consensus of technological advancements that allows us to have certain things. And allows us to understand things in new ways. That allows us to dig through the dirt to find little bits of potsherds and fucking, like, bits of scroll and fucking lost cities that have all this historical evidence for our past. Oh, like nowadays it's just, why don't you respect us? Why don't you respect our thought? Oh, we're so persecuted. I know we outnumber everyone, but why are we so persecuted? Oh, we make laws to ruin everyone's lives. Why are we so persecuted? It's weird how more deistic / atheistic / agnostic thought has brought about so much more change than you guys ever did. Look how serious he is. Look at that face. He's serious. He means business.
He's very upset, isn't he? You know, this has really hurt him.
I take evidence to be anything that increases the likelihood that a particular hypothesis is true.
Wow. Anything that means that a particular hypothesis is true, whilst I applaud the correct use of hypothesis.
Yeah.
Because no one uses theory and hypothesis correctly.
Yeah,
I'll applaud him for that. But just because something means that it's more likely that it's true doesn't mean that it's more likely that it's true.
Anything that goes towards proving it.
I can refract light off a mirror, right, to make it look like ghosts appear. And you've seen it. You don't know that I've done that. You've seen it. And you go, oh, that's a ghost. I saw it with my eyes.
I weren't watching. I was listening with my eyes.
That means it's more likely that they're real. I saw them. It's personal experience. He's trying to be more of an empiricist. Oh, you know, the evidence points it that way.
Yeah.
But he has a fundamental misunderstanding of what evidence is. Evidence doesn't come across because we're trying to prove it true. Okay? And as a master of atheistic thought, you would know I'm right.
But the reality is, I think I understand the arguments for and defenses of atheist positions better than most atheists I know. Everyone's tempted to think they're an expert.
Well, you just know your argument.
Because you know our arguments better. And you don't have an aggrandized thought of your own intelligence at all. We, as you already know, we try to disprove ourselves. And if we can't disprove ourselves, it makes it more likely that it is true. Not that we are looking for something that confirms our bias, because that would be confirmation bias. And of course, as an elite of the knowledge of atheistic thought, out of all of us, you know what I'm saying is true. Because that's what the scientific process is. Like, you don't look for things that make you right, idiot. You try and disprove yourself. And if you can't disprove yourself, then maybe you're correct. Maybe.
So, atheists, tell me this. Will you agree with what many other atheist thinkers have said before you, that despite that they don't think that the universe was designed, it sure kind of looks that way sometimes?
Yeah, but that's the funny thing about atheists. We don't think the same. And I know I just had a bit of a rant about homogeneous thought. Now, some atheists can say that because it's their purview, it's what they think. I don't think that. Do you think that?
I don't think I've ever looked at the universe and gone, looks like it was made.
I mean, I did, but I was a fundamentalist Christian.
Yeah.
I don't now. I see everything as a reaction. Because everything's a reaction.
Yeah, but I see it, you know, I don't look at it and go, this looks like sometimes it could have been made. It looks like chaos. If anything, God's built the toy box, and that's just there you go. All this is just here now. It wasn't made. It was massive.
But that's the thing. He goes back to, well, some atheist philosophers think X. That doesn't mean the rest of us think that.
No, they represent all of us. 100%. They have to.
You guys have your homogenous thought, so you guys all have to fundamentally agree on a bunch of things. The only thing we have to fundamentally agree on is that your God isn't real.
Makes it a bit easier for us.
Because most atheists aren't actually atheists. Most atheists are actually agnostic because they go, yeah, deistic, pantheistic God. All right, I can't disprove that. I can't prove. Nobody can prove it either. We kind of see it as a non sequitur. But a very personal, moralistic God, well, we can have a lot to say about that because they have very stringent ideals and care about what you think and care about what you do and care about all these stuff and apparently left all these things to tell us how the world was and all this stuff, and we can prove most of that wrong. And like, some of us believe some of it and other people believe some of it. Some atheists believe in ghosts, some atheists don't. Like, some atheists find some Christian arguments convincing, some of us don't. Some atheists think that the world is flat, some of us don't. I mean, you have reasons to believe, we have reasons that we disbelieve. Neither of us care about the other ones. So, what's all this about, really? Aside from one side saying, hey, we're the only things that matter here. And not just humans, like the things on this planet, right? We're the only things that matter because we are all that is. So we should take care of now. And you people are going, that none of it matters. We don't have to take care of anything. We'll all go to heaven forever anyway. What does this matter? Like,
does destroying the planet to the point where it kills us all not count as suicide?
No, but these people want the end times to come. They want the rapture. They want to be the last people. They want to not just see, they want to be the height of human civilization. It doesn't get better than this. We are the end. And they've had this mindset for 2,000 years. It gives them a level of certainty that you can't fight against. And it doesn't matter how many times you prove them wrong. It doesn't matter how many times you prove their fucking holy book wrong. It's the only thing they get any information from. They don't give a shit. Because why would you have that analytical perfectionism? Why would you care?
It's something that I call analytic perfectionism, and you may have it.
Why would you care about any of this? Right? Like, there's just God. That's obvious. If you don't see it's obvious, you're a heathen demon demon fucking Satan listening to heretic. Why should I give a shit about what you said? I literally have all the answers, and it doesn't matter if you say those answers are wrong, and can show why those answers are wrong. I have 15 arguments that don't prove you're wrong, but intuitively show that you're wrong. And I'm going to do it with smug condescension, because I know that you're going to burn forever in hell, and I get to go to heaven forever. And it doesn't matter. Tsunami killed loads of people. God has to exist. What about that famine? Like, all these horrible things happen. There has to be something good that comes of it. All this suffering can't be for nothing, can it? It can't just be suffering, death, and then nothing. There has to be some greater point and reason.
When I cease to exist, they have to carry on existing. You can't vanish.
It's not just about not vanishing. It's about the toil of life. All this toil, all this work, all this suffering and being the lower and middle class or whatever, right? You got to work all day, 6 days a week. You don't get much for it. Everything's too expensive. You don't get to enjoy yourself, right? There has to be more than this. Well, God says there is.
coming in. Your time isn't wasted.
I mean, come on, look at Jesus's message. The meek shall inherit the earth. Like he preaches that slaves are glorious, and they do all these things. Because Jesus was saying to the poor man, keep the struggle going. You'll get your just rewards. It just doesn't come in this one, but it comes in the next. But that's all religion is, man. It's fucking... It used to be, we can't control things. So we'll make a sacrifice, we'll build a cairn of stones, we'll build the altar and the high place, right? We'll do the ceremony, we'll do the festival, brings the great harvest, serves the problem, keeps out the invader, blah, 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 blah. Right? But then we got past that because we started to be able to control things. And then it was, we're going to work really hard to make society work. I'm going to work really hard to make society work. And everything's shit. But you get ultimate paradise. You just keep on being in the shit, man. Just keep on being in the shit. And knowing at the end, you get everything. Just wait till the end. Just do what you got to do. And then at the end, you die. And death seems like everything because you don't know anything else. But it's not everything else. So just do what you got to do. And you'll get your just reward when you die.
Well, that's tough. Lots of people don't like their jobs, but we do them anyway. You gotta do what you gotta do.
Just look forward to death.
Death is what you got to do and do what I want you to do.
No. Death is what matters. Christianity is a death cult.
Yeah, it is. Everyone can't wait to die.
Like, they actually had to put laws in Christianity to stop people killing themselves. Because they kept on going, hey, when you die, you go to heaven. You believe in God. And, like, the world's going to end soon. So people started killing themselves. They're like, oh, can't spread the religion that way.
Yeah, it wouldn't last very long if everyone just died.
Yeah. Anyway, let's finish this video.
Yeah.
If so, then whatever the truth turns out to be, you should see this initial impression as some evidence for theism, even if it's not enough for you to conclude that theism is true. But if you're...
See, the problem with that is you have a very bad idea of what evidence is, because you don't understand what evidence is, even though you claim to know atheistic thought better than anything.
But the reality is, I think I understand the arguments for and defenses of atheist positions better than most atheists I know. Everyone's tempted to think they're an expert.
Right? And if you're going to talk about evidence and scientific evidence and what those things should entail, right? The fact that you say that you have eyewitnesses written in a book isn't evidence. It's a claim. Because it's not being written by the eyewitnesses. It's being written by someone who talked to the eyewitnesses. Right? Like, just because you want it to be true doesn't mean that it is. And if you have a fundamental misunderstanding of what evidence is, we can never have a real logical conversation about these sort of things, because you ultimately refuse, because I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that people have told this to you before in some form or another, that your idea of evidence is bunk.
Someone has got to have told him. Someone's told most of them.
All these Christian people do stuff like this and like to go out and debate people and spout this kind of nonsense. People have told them these things before.
It's like Turek when he says, "Oh, I debated Christopher Hitchens once, and I proposed him this argument," and he kind of tries to put it to people that he won that argument. He did not. He didn't really win the argument.
Yeah, but that, to be fair though, that's every debate ever. Each side thinks they won, unless they thoroughly got their ass handed to them. And they have justifications for everything. Because a debate it's not about being right. A debate's just showing off.
Yeah.
Because if it was really about a debate, you just have conversation. The fact you need to have formalized, I speak for 10 minutes, you speak for 10 minutes. Like, there's just stupid rules to put around an argument so people can play up to it like the debate club in fucking high school or college or whatever. Instead of actually just talking about shit and realising that some people know more than others in fields that you don't. And like, they have this weird thing of like, oh well, the evidence. So he's talking about evidence, right? Mm-hmm. So let me completely restart this a little bit. So he's talking about evidence. So if our evidence isn't the same as your evidence, but a Muslim says that his evidence of Muhammad is the same as your evidence for Jesus.
Stop! Blasphemer!
Well, why should we believe either of you? Like, why do you believe yours over his, aside from the fact you were born in a Christian country? Like, why believe one God over another anyway? Because all the evidence from all are the same. You know what I mean? It's all theological arguments of like, well, how were things created and things are meant to be, and why does that mean that it's like... I can see why these people will go, right, we're going to have a proper, genuine conversation about whether God exists. Not whether my God exists, but God in general, right? To going, well, I'm going to use the cosmological argument to say that Jehovah's real. Well, I'm going to use the cosmological argument to say that Allah's real. Well, I'm going to use the cosmological argument to say Shiva's real. Like, how do you pick one from the other from these arguments? Aside from, I was born in this place and it's predominantly this religion, so this is what I am. Because everyone else around me says that it is.
Mm-hmm. That is it. That's how they pick. It's chosen for them most of the time.
The whole thing is wholly disingenuous. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you don't just get a random Christian turned up in a family of Muslims in like the Middle East. Just apropos of nothing. The child goes, actually, I'm a Christian.
They do. They get charged taxes. There's I can't remember what it's called. There's an actual tax for Christians and Jews to live in Muslim lands.
Yeah, what I'm saying is like you got a Muslim family and they're raising a child, and the child's never heard of anything that's in the Bible, suddenly just starts believing, no, Christians. I'm a Christian now.
Well, yeah, it's like if everyone had a permanent bout of amnesia and we lost every book in existence, we're really going to come up with the Bible again?
Nope, not as it is, definitely not. Maybe some of the ideas might come into it, but it's doubtful.
Yeah, but the idea of maybe you shouldn't kill people isn't very exclusive.
No.
I love how they're going about how Jesus gives you all the morals. It's like he doesn't.
Yeah.
We in the Western world have said that slavery is immoral as humans. The Bible doesn't say that, and Jesus doesn't. So where do we get it from if it wasn't us? Anyway, let's finish this.
You're an atheist of the sort that Matt Dillahunty is, such that in 2015, in a discussion with Matt Slick, he was able to say that if someone parted an ocean in Jesus' name, an ocean, that he still wouldn't be able to conclude that something supernatural had happened.
Why is it every time I watch this cunt, it brings up Matt Dillahunty? Does he like... Are they like bald brothers and he really wants to rub his dick on his head and like fucking...
He loves him.
Hey, you know when you're doing the usual sort of threesome thing you do of a weekend, you know, and the moonlight's bouncing off your heads and your arses and everything, does that not get a bit confusing?
You stop saying we have no evidence. Alright, I don't say you have no evidence. I say you have very bad evidence and you don't have a shred of good evidence. Come to me with a shred of good evidence. Extraordinary claims require, I think you find, extraordinary evidence. Not lame, everyday bullshit.
It's almost like they don't really have any.
They don't. Of course they don't. If they did, if they had actual evidence,
he'd get even more smug.
Everybody would believe. If you're going to ask me 20 questions to try and prove your evidence, you ain't got evidence.
No.
Why don't you ask me about anything scientific that disproves God, and I'll give you the evidence. I won't ask you 20 questions. I'll give you the empirical fucking things we found in our tests. Because we proved it in tests.
So
no, we proved it in tests.
You won't give them the run around for 20 minutes.
No.
Trying to confuse everything, muddy the waters, lead them down a specific path, and then go, ha, gotcha, got it real.
Then might I, in a friendly way, just submit to you that however you got your way of structuring knowledge, your epistemology like that. I don't know if you got it from someone else online or if you constructed it on your own, but I would say that that epistemology is problematic. Moreover, I've never ever been an atheist, and I'm completely aware this is going to sound smug, even though I don't mean it that way. But the reality is, I think I understand the arguments for and defenses of atheist positions better than most atheists I know.
12 seconds later.
And I'm probably older than you are. So ease up there, Ace. Everyone's tempted to think they're an expert because
I would say your epistemology is problematic because you start at a conclusion and look for the answers with your conclusion. Because, hey, evidence just means whatever, like, proves it, has a chance of proving it's true.
What, did you get it online?
Because evidence doesn't give it, like, it's the problem with these cunts, right? Because they don't understand what the actual language of what they're saying means. So, evidence is the thing that provides a greater chance that something is true. But the fact that something could possibly mean that it's true does not evidence. It doesn't understand the difference. Because it's not just asserting, well, if we think about it this way, then it means that it could be. Right? Evidence comes across because we go, right, here's an idea we have. Let's disprove it. Oh, no, we can't disprove it. Maybe it's true.
It's put out to the world to disprove.
But because he misunderstands that fundamental point of evidence being a percentage factor, well, it just means that evidence means something means that it could be true. Instead of something proven that shows that it might could be true.
Yeah.
But that's the fun thing about these assholes misunderstanding things. It makes it very difficult sometimes to actually say what it is. Because they're misunderstanding it in such a fundamental way that you have to say it like you're speaking to like a kindergartner. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, it's what they want though, because when you're explaining it in simpler terms, it makes it much easier to take those simple, broad terms, right, and change them into a narrower set of terms that kind of mean the same thing, but are not the thing you mean. It's the, like I was saying, it's the lies to children thing. You know, you learn when you're in school at a younger age, you learn broad, simple strokes that make it, that are essentially a lie, to learn the finer, more intricate things of what they really are as the stages progress, right? So, if you're going to say that you misunderstand the thing at a fundamental level, it makes it harder to disprove because you have to use fundamental broad language. When using the fundamental broad language, it makes it harder to convey a different thing because the language is so broad. And these people, they might be learned up and knowing this bit of scripture and that bit of scripture, right? And this argument and that argument. But understanding the finer bits of like physics, chemistry and biology require very clear and precise language that isn't broad.
Disallows. It is constructed such that it, whether intentionally or unintentionally, it is constructed in a brilliant way such that it disallows for the sorts of evidence that would demonstrate that God exists.
But I thought God's unprovable.
Well,
like,
it's unknowable, so how can you prove
if he is immaterial and he's supernatural and he's outside time and space, there is no evidence. Like, there's no way to show him.
All you could do is find evidence that would support the Bible, which is a claim, and you're going to struggle with a lot of it.
But like, there's like, so when fucking Elijah goes, "Hey, Baal, come down and set this on fire." My God could set this on fire. Is your God in the shitter? Right? Like, why can God prove those points then? Well, why can he get involved in that? Why is it that when Moses goes, "Hey Pharaoh, let my people go," and here's a plague, and then Pharaoh's sorcerers repeat that plague, he goes, "Here, have another plague." Why can't he do that now?
It's weird. Lost all his power. doesn't want to. It's not in the plan.
Why do we have to find him through assholes like this?
I know. It's almost like he's not there. Not there or impotent. Pick.
It just... It annoys me so much when people like this tell me what I can and can't say. Because, and at the same time telling me that he understands my arguments better than I do. So I should stop saying these things because he knows best.
Yeah, he already knows what
he knows
say,
best.
So he shouldn't argue.
He doesn't have an aggrandized sense of what his thought is. He knows better than we do. He knows what our arguments are. He knows what our thoughts are. He knows better than us. So why are we doubting him? He knows better. He asserted it as such.
But the reality is, I think I understand the arguments for and defenses of atheist positions better than most atheists I know.
So why shouldn't we take him at his word?
Everyone's tempted to think they're an expert.
Well, because he's a lying piece of shit. And you know how I know that? Because his arguments aren't the arguments I've given. And it's not that I'm giving arguments out of triteness. Like...
You're just giving the correct argument.
Well, I'm giving my argument. Whether it's correct or not is up to debate.
Well, when they pose an argument and they'll twist it a little bit so it doesn't sound
No, I know, but
anymore.
like, I think I'm
you
correct,
can correct
but
that
doesn't mean I am.
Like that sin video when it's put across, well, if an atheist says this about suffering, it's like, but they don't. Something's different. It only works for them if they twist it.
Yeah, but that's been like the whole point of their existence forever.
Yeah, they only work if they're twisted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And lastly, inconsistent internal critiques. This one has to do with atheists who try to do an internal critique of God in his actions in the Old Testament. In an internal critique, what the atheist is trying to do with the Christian is to presume that the Christian narrative about the Old Testament and the God of the Old Testament is all true, so that that atheist can then poke around inside that worldview and see, does it make sense?
Who are you to say what isn't true and not true in the Bible? If the Bible is the divine inspired word of God, we have to take it at its face value. Because like I said before, the Bible tells you when it's being real, and the Bible tells you when it's being figurative. It just does. And that can still be seen to this day. They went to this high place and sacrificed on the altar that is still there to this day, literally daring you to go to the places that it's pointed out to see if it's still there, to show the inerrancy of the text. Is it not said in the annals and the records of the Book of the Kings, as it says over and over in Judges and Kings? Because it is telling you to go source a different text to prove its veracity. Because it is not being figurative. The Bible is putting itself across as the divinely inspired history and record of the world. Because it was written in a time and place when they didn't know better. And now assholes like you have to come in and try and retcon, well, what God really meant to say was, what figurative was. You know what I mean? Like, come on, really? You guys just fail in your internal critique. Well, you fail in your understanding of your own holy text. You fail to understand the clear and defined words that your God has deemed fit that you should know. And you pick and choose which ones are the ones to accept and which ones that were just words of antiquity and don't mean anything. Which bits of your God's history are real. Which bits of your God's history are, well, we know differently now, so it's figurative. Like...
Well, scientists have debunked this one thoroughly, and we have to just concede. So it's a story.
You guys might be really angry that we say it's all bunk and hokum. But really, you should be pissed off at yourself because you don't have the true belief in God. Because you don't believe your own holy book. There's vast swathes of it you say are bullshit. You shouldn't listen to many of his laws on slavery and how you should treat women kind of clothes you should wear, what you should eat, what you should do. Were you circumcised? Were you circumcised for God? Or were you circumcised because you live in America and it's kind of a fashionista thing? Like, there's all sorts of, like, do you think that if somebody makes fun of you for being bald, well, the bears are going to come down and eat you? No, I don't think you did. Like, there's so many things in the Old Testament and the New Testament. I know you keep on banging on about the Old Testament, but what about things that are in the New Testament where, like, Paul's like, hey, you're a slave, just fucking deal with it. You know what I mean? Or, like, the fact that Revelation didn't happen because it's talking about the downfall of Rome in such a catastrophic way that never happened. Like, you have a holy book that tells you it's the divine revelation of God that has 4 very different stories of Jesus. He only lived once. You have 4 different stories. Matthew, Mark, and Luke kind of have some similarities. John is just out there. So many things happen in John don't happen in the other Gospels. Like, they have 4. Like, what kind of holy text can you say you have? That's 4 different stories of your Messiah. 4 differing stories. What did he do and say on the cross? The Bible says 4 different things. What's correct? You want to talk about evidence? Why you want to talk about inconsistent internal critique? All right then. Well, I'm critiquing your Bible, and I'm saying there's glaring fucking things that are so wrong with each other outside of whether science says it's right, or we seem to think it's right or wrong. There's different bits of the Bible that say very differing things about the same event. So which one's right? And if you have differing views of the event, who's to say that those events are correct anyway? Because if someone's gonna make up a version of the event, well then who's to say who makes up how many versions of the event? How many different people make up differing versions? And how many people like Tertullian, Polycarp, and Origen get to make up their own versions and justifications? Like, you want to talk about internal critique? Why don't you have some? What do you critique about the Bible outside of God's real, it's all correct? Like, come on. Which bits of the Bible do you find wrong? Because if the Bible isn't 100% correct, as you're trying to intone here, well, which bits do you find wrong? Which bits of the Bible are lies? Because if the Bible is wrong, it's a lie. So which bit are lies? Just name one. Of course you won't do that. 1, because you won't watch the video. 2, because you don't have the balls to critique your own fucking religion. Because you know people hold it against you, because you're on YouTube. You want people to keep on giving you money on your Patreon. So you don't want to say something bad that people might have a go against and stop giving you money for. Because it's totally about the money. Fuck off. I'm done.